Oh, okay. What? Facebook always like bothers me. But hello, guys, how's it going? It's me, Uncle from Japan. Welcome back to my channel. Sorry, I'm late. Uh, uh I'm busy. I mean, who isn't, right? How are you guys? I already see some of you here. How is Japan doing after Abe-san's passing? Our society is so chaotic right now. I mean, it's been chaotic, but it's not helping. Oh man, yeah, I'll get to that later because that's all I've been talking about lately, especially on Twitter. Okay, and hi Yoko, I'm sorry I haven't made the past few live streams. I give my condolences to you for the passing of your beloved ex-prime minister. What a brazen act. Thank you for all your thoughts. By the way, have you been feeling the heat this weekend? The temperatures have reached 101 Fahrenheit, about 38. 38. Like now I'm like 38. Okay. It's been hot at work since we have no AC. Wow, that's crazy. I mean, it's so hot right now, like right here. Like I have a fan here and that's all I have, and there's no window. There's a window above me, but that's, that doesn't open. And yeah, this room is like in the middle of a place and it's hot here. But anyway, yeah, our weather has been weird as well, and it's been really hot. Like, yeah, something is wrong with the earth. Yeah, like I don't believe in global warming, but I do sense the, like the earth being alive, and there are ups and downs. And yeah, it's pretty toasty. I almost really like tasty toasty here as well. The heat is unbearable here in Texas. It must be really hot in Texas. But luckily, I have AC in my car. It wasn't working right until I put Freon. What is Freon? Now my AC is at 50 degrees. Yay. Whoa, nice. Yeah. So it's a global thing then, I guess. Like in Japan, I mean, Japan's summer is hot. It's so humid and it feels different from other countries and so forth. But like, summer it's hot. Like we have seasons, but the past, I don't know, like it's not 10 years, 5 years, 10 years. I don't know. The weather has been really weird. It heavily rains like intensively, like massively to like limited area, and there comes like flood and landslide and all sorts of natural disasters, and then our self-defense force has to be dispatched there to help people, and we are pretty vulnerable when that happens, because self-defense force is limited and they go help people. And yeah, like all sorts of different bad things happen simultaneously. It's not good. Yes, crazy hot here. Yes. Hi Yoko, hello. I live in California. It's like hell on earth here. In California, I hear that it's so dry that the forest starts to, you know, uh, like they committed suicide and yeah, start burning, and that's horrifying. And like I can't even imagine that happening because it's so humid here. It never happens, like mostly. And yeah, it's every time I hear that, I'm like, whoa. Yeah. But it's so interesting though, like California, or I mean, like America in general. Of course, it's like cities are very like developed and urban, and there are lots of buildings, like really high, like tall buildings and everything. But I my impression of America is that it's covered by lots and lots of forest. And my the impression that I have of forests or nature in general is that like the temperature is lower there, but somehow I don't know about whether like I didn't listen much in class like back in school. So I don't know how things work, but it's just interesting. Um Sorry for your country's loss. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Why don't you have AC, Yoko? Because we don't have the money to put it here. Like we have one in the living room, but that's about it. And yeah, we have two fans and one AC. That's huge. So like our living room is attached to the kitchen area, and even our bedroom. Like it's not even a bedroom. Like our bedroom, like Japanese style, meaning tatami floor. So like it's like three rooms can be covered by this one AC, but not here. It's separated, and I do have like a duct there to have it connected, but yup. It's very expensive, and also due to the lack of what you call like a semiconductor, what is it called? The computer thing to make all these electronic appliances. They're lacking here because the majority are made in China and so forth. And yeah, so that's been our problem. Like we can't produce all these products here, and like we actually bought a fridge back in I don't remember, February or March or something like that. And when we bought that, the guy working there told us that, oh, you're lucky that you got in time because it will like we won't be having these like later due to the lack of all the parts. So yeah, and because of that, our government is now, I think they've created this team to handle situations like that. Like it's happening in the US too, but the political side is now realizing the importance of how to allot everything, like where like make America great again, basically. It has to be made in your country. So all those like economic security is being talked about now. Mm. Jessica, konbanwa, Yoko-san, konbanwa. Great Japanese. Cool. Uh, hot in Boston also. Ohio. Also hot in Ottawa, Canada. I I don't know much about Canada, but I'm like I heard the sliding door. My husband must be there. Yeah, Canada's impression, of course, is winter. So, like that's interesting to think about it. Hot in Ottawa. I used to watch this Canadian lady. What was her name? Nicholson, something Nicholson. Kelly Nicholson on YouTube. I used to watch her. She's a Canadian young woman in her 20s, and yeah, she's pretty. And I used to watch her. Sometimes she has like Canadian accents. It's cute. I wonder what the sound is. Okay, weather modification. I wish we could do that. Like I was worried though. We in Japan we have rainy season, right? And so it's usually June to July, and somehow this year it ended like super fast. And during that time, it didn't even rain, so we were worried. But then after the rainy season ended, I don't know the definition of like rainy season. Like there is the line, the rainy line. I don't know how to say that in English, but um yeah, it was gone and so forth. So I guess the definition is different, but we did have lots of rain, so that's good. The heat in Texas probably isn't as bad as Arizona, Nevada, Wyoming, Utah, or South California, maybe even Mexico. Really, what's interesting about Japan is Okinawa, right? And Okinawa is actually not that hot compared to other places, like Aichi Prefecture, like where Toyota is. So hot there somehow. It has a lot to do with the mountain and how the geographics aspect is. Um, yeah, interesting, interesting. It's extremely humid and hot here in Chiba, Japan, and the majority of the people are still mindlessly wandering around outside with their masks on. Yeah, I know. Feels like I'm living in a dystopia sci-fi movie. Yeah, but yeah, it's crazy. Like I know the majority of, like, especially American conservatives don't like the like to wear masks, and we don't like it too, and I don't like it too personally, and but I really want, like, I'm kind of a clean freak, so I don't want other people to be vulnerable on the face now. And but anyway, but even such a person like me, like, I take off my mask outside because it's so annoying, and it's useless, right? Like, you're outside, but people are, I guess that people just don't think. you know yep, 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 yep. In the period before Europeans heavily settled in California, an average of some 4 million acres of forest would burn every year. It is generally so dry there. Yeah, it's so interesting because the one thing that surprised me the most, like when I visited America, when I was like, I turned 20 in America. That's the adult age here. I mean, it changed to 18 now, but at the time, like, I'm old. So, like, back in my time, I we became an adult at 20 years old. And yeah, I had my birthday in America. And when I visited there, I went to Washington, D.C. And I still remember it was so crispy. The air was so crispy and dry. And like, no, you don't use crispy for hot weather. I don't know, but like, it's so, like, it was hot, but it wasn't to me because it's not humid. And I was so confused. I talked about that before on this stream, I think so. Anyway, yeah, Texas. I want to go to Texas one day. Be cool. Cool, cool, cool. Harp, isn't it the conspiracy theory? Like, I feel like I saw that letter when the earthquake hit here. Mm-mm-mm. Japan should produce their own electronic, like, before, I know, before we, America and Japan, before our countries started to use China as factory. It was the best time, all like made in America, made in Japan. uh Man, like, Japanese products today, they break easier than before. Like, the stuff that we have from a few decades ago, it's still working and it never breaks. But like, recent products, it's like plastic and so forth, like, it breaks very easily. So weird. Hmm. Anyone? Oh, so you can actually modify weather because, like, people, there are conspiracy theorists that think of crazy things, changing the entire weather and so on, like weaponizing the weather modification or whatever like that. And I used to think it's crazy, but I'm like, I wish we had that, you know, because like we do have to think about like the shortage of water and so on. And yeah, Sapiogo soap, soap. Oh, what about Hokkaido? It's way up north. How is this? is it in summer there? I hope better. It's cooler. I think. Let me look up here. It's now. Oh, it's 22 degrees Celsius. What is 22 in 22度? Ah, oh, ah. Okay, my Google doesn't do that thing that I wanted he or she only him or her to do. uh so I can't calculate. I used to live in Nagoya. Oh, it was so hot in summer, Shinyodo. Yeah, isn't it? Like it's even like compared to Okinawa, it's hotter than Okinawa, Aichi Prefecture. So that's something that I'm learning lately because I have a few gamer friends there, and so like I started to pay attention, and then I realized, why do you care so much about American politics? Because Japan relies on America. And yeah, so two things, right? So Japan relies on America so much, and like every day we are protected by the presence of America. You know, nuclear umbrella, and also the U.S. Army here. Like they have the military bases, like several of them in Japan, and because of that, CCP led China cannot, or Russia, like Chinese and Russian aircrafts and also vessels, they come to Japan like every day. They circle around our island, sometimes even like they cooperate together too at times. And so we do have, and also like North Korean missiles, they launched that towards Japan, towards the Japan Sea, Sea of Japan. And so we are pretty we have all these threats, but thanks to America we are protected. And also I love America for some reason. Ever since I was little, I was fascinated by English in general, and I guess it's due to my, my parents had like English stuff at my our place. And also when I hit 15, I started to study English for entrance exams for high school. And then my teacher was really funny at cram school. So then I started to realize like, oh, American English is so beautiful, and I wanted to speak it. So I studied hard, and along the way I learned a lot about the American culture. And then I got interested in politics in 2012, which is 10 years ago now. Wow. And then when Trump ran, I got interested. Like he was such a fresh air to politics that I had to, like, I realized that through him that there are lots of like minds in America. And I always loved America. So like it's everything just came together. And also Shinzo Abe passed away, but um he was the first bestie that Trump became with. Like Trump and Abe, they were besties. They were really great friends, and yeah, that side helped too. So yes. Oh, super chat. I see super chat. Thank you, recovery anonymous. What are your thoughts on Bushido? Generally, it's like what I my understanding is that someone labeled our culture as that Bushido, and I think it's such a beautiful, important virtue of our culture. But it's just how we are, so I don't really think about it. So like when we do use that term when we are talking about like a morality and how Japanese people should be, oh, it's our bushido, we say that, but we don't really think about it on a daily basis, I guess. So like it's really abstract in my head. Like there was a time I used to care about it, but now I don't even remember what the term is. Like, I mean, definition. Isn't that interesting? Let me look that up. Yeah, it's just our standards. Yeah, like common sense, it says. And it's from 100 years ago. That sort of stuff. So sorry. Sorry, I'm no help. Um, but like Japanese conservatives like it though. They yeah, they do often use the word like, oh, it's bushido. But at the same time, in my head, I'm like, not everybody was a bushy, like a warrior, Like we were farmers. And yeah. Yep, 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 yep. Oh, let's go down. Actually, I just hit the bottom and I saw this. Yoko-san, what is your opinion on Taiwan? Another important, um, I want to say country. Yeah, but it's really complicated. I've talked about Taiwan many times on this live stream, but mm, CCP led China has been expanding, and they have now their colonization now includes Tibet, Uyghur, Southern Mongolia, and then Hong Kong, and the next is set to be Taiwan and Japan, the Senkaku Islands. And so, of course, in that sense, Taiwan is very important. And part of me wants Taiwan to be independent, but at the same time, there is a problem of like how Taiwanese people think. There are the kind of people that want just Taiwan island that you imagine. Usually, like when you say Taiwan, it's like this island, right? So some people want that island and the small islands around to be Taiwan and get independent. But other people, when they picture Taiwan, they picture like the Chinese mainland altogether, like not entirely, but So then there is a controversy too. So it's something that I can't casually say like, oh, make Taiwan independent. Like we have to be careful with where we are talking about and so on. But anyway, but like Taiwan, of course, is Taiwan used to be Japan. I don't know how Taiwanese people today think of that history, but what we hear in Japan is that we, of course, like um when Japanese people um were in other countries like in South Korea and Taiwan and so forth, we don't colonize. It's always like annexation, meaning that we make sure that it's like we appoint the local people to do their job and so on. So, and Taiwanese people, what I hear is that Taiwanese people recognize themselves as Japanese, and uh, we we were like one country at the time. I'm not really familiar with Taiwan, the history with Taiwan, actually, to be honest with you, so I can't say much. But like we have this strong attachment to Taiwan, and I feel like it's not mutual though today, because it's the elderly people that went through that is um familiar with terms like that. And especially there was this What his name in English? There was this wonderful politician there, Lee Teng Hui. Lee Teng Hui. So he was the leader there for a while, but yeah, he spoke amazing Japanese, and yeah, we really liked him. But he's gone. He passed away. So who? Huh? Who? Yeah. Oh, I thought that you were pronouncing the name, but yeah. So yes, yes, yes. Crying battle yelling. So yeah. Yep. So yes, I really hope that Taiwan won't, get colonized by CCP. Like we have to end that and reverse the front line back to, there's the castle. What is called in English? Why I can't remember all of a sudden. There's a traditional Chinese. Uh, oh yeah, 巴黎的球球的. Let's see. Great Wall of China. Oh, that's it. That's really that's a translation. Great Wall of China. Oh, so it's the wall. According to my Southern Mongolian teacher friend, like he's a professor here in Japan, but he's Southern Mongolian. Southern Mongolia is one of the countries that are colonized by CCP. But he often says that, the Great Wall made by China back in the day is the border of China because they built it, like they know. And so that's the border, but now they are way past the line, and they're conquering southern Mongolia and so forth. So yes, that's the wall. I'm happy that the Japanese hate the new woke biohazard series on Netflix. Oh, that's woke. Yeah, Japanese nerds, like so-called otaku, like those who are into comics and anime and gaming, they have common sense and they will never lose that. So that's good. I feel like at the end of the day, nerds will, we nerds. I'm one nerd myself, but we will. I feel like we will protect the world. Like we're the last fortress. How is Japan treating the assassination of Abe now? While after it happened, has anything important happened culturally or politically non-Japanese might have missed? Um, the discussion now has been like it's delivered, or it's like taken the advantage of by the left biased mainstream media and just leftists in general, especially activists and politicians. um there are a few things or themes that we are talking about. One is our state funeral, happening this fall. So state funeral, and so some, like of course the majority want that to happen because the world top class leaders will come and visit and greet to Abe's loss and so on. But yeah, so that's important. But our opposition party, like leftists, they of course want to just oppose to everything. While in America, for example, I believe that Senate, they passed the resolution. Is it called like the resolution? They're commemorating, Abe. So they are like foreigners and they can do that. But over here in Japan, like our country is not becoming one, and they are still like leftist activists are still doing anti-Abe protests outside of the National Dia building, like even today after his death. It's so crazy, but it's only a small portion of people, but media takes it up, so it's we have this misunderstanding that, oh, there are people that are opposing, like when you see that on the news, you get the wrong picture. So that's happening for state funeral. So yeah, and then the a lot of people, especially leftists and those who are trying to, it's not like they're not even trying to refute anymore, they're just dragged down by their talks. But leftists are talking about the so-called unification church, and they're basically pointing finger at the religion and the ties that they had with with LDP. But of course, probably just like in America, like I don't know how things are in America, but over here, our constitution only mm, keeps our government or people in power from affecting the people, like forcing the people to be religious of this, like one specific power or something. Like it's the governing side. We are stopping, by the constitution, we are stopping the governing side to affect our people, and our people can like people have the freedom of religion, of course, and so we can have whatever religious thoughts, and we can still um, support our politicians. But leftists and those who just think of like unification church as a problem, like they just want to bash, so they don't care about how it really is by our constitution, and they're saying that we need to regulate unification church. It's not, and also regulate like other religions too, like Komeito, our one of our governing parties, because they are Buddhist. They're basically a religious party, and their religion is Buddhism, and like Buddhism related. So yeah, some people are bashing that party as well, like two governing parties, LDP and Komeito, and this one other one is basically Buddhist group. So yeah, people are attacking that, and those type of bash people that bash the our governing parties, they are basically saying that the government is not regulating all these cult groups, because the unification church does, or I mean has had problems, like crime level. But each time there was a crime, the police handled, and it's not like politicians ignored, like on purpose. Like they were not begged by the unification church either, like there are no records, but people were just judging the unification church, saying that they are all cults. And so yeah, stuff like that. And this one guy that is very influential here, like the founder of Chan Nichan, Hiroyuki. He's saying like, oh, in France, they ban cults, so we can do that here in Japan as well. But we have a different set of cultural values, and also like regulating one group can be led to can lead to banning other groups, and it might not end just in religious groups, and it can results in many different types of groups. And when we try to regulate one force, then they will find a way to get away, And then along the way, those people, the attachment or ties of those people and politicians even get stronger now than now. So there are lots of problems happening. So like when we think about it, like many things could have happened. So we are talking about it, like people like myself and my husband, but people are just frustrated or want attention, so they just say whatever they want. So that's what's happening. I guess those are the two kinds of our discussions here. Yeah, I don't know if my explanation is good enough for you to understand. Sorry if you're not familiar with like the unification church and so forth, because I bet that it's too difficult. Anyway, this is a Q&A session, so you can ask me anything. Oh, so is Biden okay? I hope he is. Like, if whether you like Biden or not, if you if your president somehow dies or something, that's bad. If he gets out of power, then there comes to confusion, and your enemy countries will take advantage of that. So yeah. And also I heard about monkeypox. And I also saw the news related to that, saying that there's this, like, inside of the family, like family contacts, and an infant and a toddler have monkeypox due to the contact inside of the family. I'm like, why? It's like, so weird. Yeah. And also I saw, like, when I googled America today, there was a news saying that there are men now, like increasing number of men in America that are getting vasectomy. Vasectomy, yeah. Like cut. Cut it. And of course that's due to Roe versus Wade. What was it? What's the name? I forget. Sorry, my memory. Roe versus Wade. Yeah. Due to that, you know, this article, I read this in Japanese, but so crazy. How some men are like, oh, I really don't want kids, so I came to get vasectomy. Like, wow, so surprising. Anyway, and what else? What else? I guess that's it. um, I'm fine with Biden being in a horrible state. He's an evil man. The enemy is already in control. True. How is Kamala Harris doing? I saw like some people impersonate her, like mocks her. They're so good. If something happens to Biden, then Harris becomes president. We don't want that. Yeah, it would create a worse scenario. I don't want Kamala in charge, so hopefully he is okay. Yeah, that reminds me of the poll that my husband was checking out. That into when was that? 2020. Yeah. Um, so Biden won against Trump, but today, if you ask Democrats, I think it was like over 90% of Democrats that don't want Biden anymore. Like they picked Biden, but they don't want like over 90%. Like you never see a poll like that. but over 90% of Democrats. I don't know which poll that is. Like my husband was just randomly reading that in Japanese, but they don't want Biden anymore. But of course, even back then, if you ask them, maybe they didn't want him. Like they just wanted to vote out Trump. So I'm not surprised, but I was just overwhelmed by the percentage. Wow. Like, how can you be disliked that much, like that hardcore? Didn't Biden get cancer? What? He did? What? Hmm. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Okay. Kamala won't be in charge. Both Biden and her her takeovers from the same special interest groups. Nothing will change other than that she can't hide anymore. Right. Pelosi is the plan? What? Pelosi. Didn't Pelosi's husband get arrested or something? I forget. Yoko, 90% of American farmers voted for Trump over the Alzheimer's patient Biden. A rural Japanese considered more conservative right wing than urban voters. Yes. Like if you go to rural area, they all support, most likely they, yeah, they support LDP. But if they are poor, super duper poor, there are some buildings here in Japan that is like there are some like super old, almost breaking houses sometimes, and a lot of times on the like half broken, how half destroyed, like really old buildings, you see the poster of the Japanese Communist Party. So like if you're really poor, they can be, the supporter of the Communist Party here. But usually it's, LDP. And LDP is considered conservative inside of in our left-leaning society. So yes. And if you go to like urban areas, then parties like if you are like on the conservative side, Ishin, there's a party called Ishin, and they like a what's the reform, I forget English. Yeah, there's the party Ishin, and they can get votes. And on the left side, they were can be, but they didn't. Yeah, even the party leader didn't get many votes. But yeah, urban areas have different, you know, different tastes. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Wait, someone. I think Nate also wrote about. Oh yeah, Shohei Otani is dominating in America. Baseball in America is Japan. I'm proud of him. Yes, he's on the news like every day. Yeah, because he's making records, right? So it's really surprising. Like when I was little, there was this a baseball player called named Nomo, and he went to America, and that was a huge deal. Like, whoa, a Japanese guy in America playing baseball together there. Like, wow, that's like, we were witnessing history by Nomo. But then Ichiro came around. He went to America, and he did well too. And then we were like, wow, Ichiro, wow. But then Shohei Otani is like, he's like leading the team, basically. So, yeah, we were overwhelmed by how good Shohei Otani is. It's showtime, right? His name is good too. I was thinking about that yesterday, actually. Like Shohei Otani. Like so good. So easy for American people to pronounce. Yeah. So and he's just super tall. It's amazing. He's Japanese, but really, really tall. Like he's big. So surprising. So weird when I look at it. Like it's something is wrong with his like balance, like he's Japanese, but why? So weird. Oh yeah, Matsui. I forgot about Matsui. Sorry, I forgot about him. Yeah, he was huge there too. Namo Hideo. Yes, Hideo. Is there a push for Japanese to have more children and work less? It seems like Japanese are married more to their work. Oh yeah, to an extreme level. Yeah, I mean that's our culture. We are working bee. Like if we weren't, then we wouldn't have gotten back from the how we were right after the World War II. Like right now, like I shouldn't comment much about the World War II. Like it was a war, it was mutual, and we damaged each other. But like today, you see all what's happening by Russia in Ukraine, and people are like, right? Of course, it's awful. But like if you actually look for the pictures and all the records of what happened to Japan during the World War II, it's like, oh, like there's nothing. Like it's burnt down. The mainland burned down. Nothing there. Like even my area, Fukuoka, was bombed like so hard. Just nothing there. It's all destroyed and burned down. But only a few decades later, like we were back on our feet again somehow. And of course we had like not me, I'm lazy, but like our grandpa generation worked really really hard. So yeah, like I think that Japanese people were like always hardworking, but I feel like after the war we had to be, and so we still have the culture. But it was actually Shinzo Abe who you know changed how we work. He knew that work was actually suffocating people here today. And of course the suicide level is really high, like suicide rate is high in Japan, and we all know that. And so Abe actually changed, like he had the policy of the working work reform. So yeah, and due to that though, like I was visiting the big hospital nearby, and so my doctor was actually complaining that now I have to work less, so that means that I have to get things done in like a limited time. So Yoko has to go to another clinic. So that was that that happened to me. But so there are lots of consequences. But yeah, things are changing a little bit here, but still, yes, we work hard. And it's just our culture, so we can't change too much, because it's not only the working side, it's much more attached to work. And but as for but the government want our people to have kids more, but it's not like they are telling us to make babies. Like you can't force the citizens to do that, but some politicians are pushing the support for those women that cannot get pregnant even though they want. So there are, cures like that, like politically. And yeah, and but our understanding, like Japanese people who are familiar with politics and also those who have common sense would always tell you that the reason why we don't have as many children today is due to recession. It's because our economy is bad. Like Westerners read too much into it, oh, Japanese male are now this and that. Like, they some Westerners read too much into our cultural side, but it's not. No, it's so simple. Our economy is bad, so we can't afford to have babies, especially because we want to give great education to our children. So, and Japanese people are responsible. We're really like hardworking, serious people. So, um, yeah, it's but unwanted children can be born though with like a lower class. Like we don't have a class, but Japan does consist of like different levels of people, So there are low type, and they pump out babies a lot, I feel. And middle class type, they think too much. Remember that Trump music video with the Asian girl Yoko? Was that basically inspired by you? Oh yeah, there was one. The trippy one, right? Maybe it was inspired by me. I have no idea. I have noticed that in Japan, the commies live in big urban areas like Tokyo, but more conservative voters live in the suburbs. Just like in America, why are big city voters such commies? I guess I don't know about back in the day, but maybe it's the same. It's the somehow communism is fashionable, or it's like it's commerce as something fashionable, don't you think? That um when was that? Yeah, when like women's march and anti-Trump movement was a thing. I remember magazines like Elle, like fashion magazine, they would feature the fashion for all those marches and parade and on like anti-Trump movement. Like, this is the fashion, like, what to wear. On the tops you wear this and blah, blah, blah. Like they do that somehow. And even in the 60s and 70s, those who were opposing to war, at least here, they were leftists. They always say like, oh, no war, world peace and hippies and so forth. And that sort of type here, they're you know they are like, they, at least back in the day, they were intellectual. They, like, if you say in a Russian way, it's intelligentsia. So intelligentsia, so a very intellectual, like geeky, fashionable type. So, and that type exists a lot in urban areas. People in rural areas, they're- we just mind our own business, right? So yeah, like, yeah, I feel like if you, especially if you're a farmer or something, then you want to protect your products or crops or whatever you're making. Oh, this is my land, I wanna, sell this well, or I wanna export this to this country and blah blah blah. So I guess that it's more, uh, it has more chemistry with conservative politicians, because you don't want to share that with like everybody because you make efforts, like you would be against communism, the ideology of communism. I don't know, that's what I think. Oh, I have to go in 5 minutes. Today I'm actually having people over. It's not like I'm having them over. No, they are coming here like "Arr," like buffaloes. So I've been busy cleaning so because I'm so lazy usually. Uh, so I have to end on time today. Um, mm, 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 mm. Every single person pushing commie crap is either one of three people living on top of the system, living off the system, or never being oppressed by the system. True, true. Well put. Hmm. Yeah. Actually, in election times, like we just had a national election in July, House of Councilor election. And so during that time, we would often see our party leaders, like each party leader on TV. And I was one day watching NHK, our public broadcasting news network, and I saw the party leader. She actually, that's interesting. His name is Xi, so it almost sounds like the same as Xi Jinping. But anyway, Xi is the party leader. He's a male. He's had the power for 2 decades. Wait, what? Such a long time. But anyway, he was wearing a beautiful tie, and my husband noticed. Oh, that is that brand's tie, and we looked it up, and it was the kind of, it's not like extremely high end brand, it's not too expensive, but it is a good enough brand, and it's a tie, and he noticed that because he wanted to get that. But anyway, so it's expensive, but his voters have have zero idea how much money is in that tie. And my husband actually has heard this anecdote, like from like this local one, that they there was one day this like Japanese Communist Party like executive at like locally, like they probably had a meeting or something, and this executive wore such a good suit, very expensive, and someone pointed that out, like when they were just casually talking, and then the executive said that, oh yes, but our supporters don't know the price. Like they can't tell. And yeah, because they're on the top of the system. So, and they do have good things, but their voters or their supporters have no clue. So, I'm like, there's your enemy right there. But they support them. So stupid. So stupid. Mm. I'm really shocked you never thought she was the muse for the Trump music video. Because was it a good video? Like, I couldn't. Wasn't it kind of making fun of Trump supporters? I don't know. Like, I don't have a good impression of the video. I don't know. Have a good one. I'll see you later. Oh, thank you. Have a good night if you're leaving. Yeah, I have to leave soon. Is Fukuoka an LDP stronghold? Yes. Yes. I mean, Kyushu is our island. Is. But my district is now not LDP because there was this, like my area specifically, there was this amazing anti-CCP great politician that we were really, good friends with. But there came another candidate from the same LDP power or like group. And so there were two LDP candidates, and even though my guy got the official support by LDP, like there were some conflicts, and the opponent um actually ran like negative campaign to degrade our guy and so forth, and there were lots of battle inside of LDP in my district. And then there came this leftist candidate. Of course she won. There's only one national diet member that can be picked from my area, so she got the position, and LDP lost it due to the stupid fight. So things like that do happen, and it's not only my district, but our support locally is LDP. Look up John Dutton versus tourists on YouTube. TV show rancher defending his land from West Taiwanese tourists. Hilarious culture clash. Huh. That sounds interesting. John Dutton. When I wrote like John Dutton, is that the way to pronounce? I and then versus. Then I see bikers, tourists, vegan, tourist episode, Tony Soprano, Wade, Logan Roy. And I get lots of hit. That's interesting. Yeah. Okay. I wish more Japanese conservatives spoke English as brilliantly and fluent as you. It's only Japanese leftists who perfect their English like you. Thank you. I'm still trying to polish, but yeah, I know what you mean. It's our leftists, and there are English speaking like amazing conservative people here, like Yoshiko Sakurai and Yoichi Shimada, and even Dr. Kakeya. I think he speaks English. Oh, and the American doctor, uh, Eldridge. Yeah, and there are many. Actually, on the conservative side, I think that there are many people that are capable of English, but they somehow never try to talk to Americans. Or, I mean, it doesn't have to be Americans, but you know what I mean. It's on. I guess that they just want to do business. Like they have a life. They need to, make a living. So they probably focus on that. So, yeah, they just have a job here, and that ends up being towards Japanese people, I guess, and they speak Japanese. That's mottainai. What is a bad thing we should do next for democracies like Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and the US to work together? I think that our former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe left us the good legacy of his, which is free and open Pacific strategy. Did I say that right? Free and open Indo-Pacific strategy. So we should. I think the important thing is for us to share the same strategy and same image, or picture, that we are together, uniting, and especially against our threat. And I think what's also important is to deepen our ties economically, because our enemies are deepening theirs. They have their own zones and their own treaties and so on, that they help out each other, so we have to make sure that our ties are strong, or even like stronger than theirs, so like even if we do go into wars, we can sustain our living standards and so on. So yeah, that's something that we are exposed to right now, that we are realizing that when, in this globalized world, Russia just does stupid things and we want to cut ties, but we can't. And we kind of did, but then we're suffocating and we don't want that happening. So yeah. And also, I think that events like CPAC does help. Um, but that's difficult though, because when I go to CPAC, I realize that, conservatism is very different depending on where you are from, and also so are the, Democrats or leftists in general. Like it's so different in each country. And when I fight against CCP, like when we do anti-CCP movement here in Japan, and when we, on the top of that, when we team up with people in the world, they are on the left side. That our friends are somehow on the left side and not conservative. So I think that sometimes we have to kind of forget about our labels and focus on what we are trying to achieve. Yeah, that's what I think. Just, yeah. But at least it's very refreshing to get a comment like that, though, that we we really need to work on our bonds, especially people on the right side. They, like, we care so much about our own country, like so much that we forget to bond with the world, but we have to you know hold hands with each other. Okay, man, I earlier in this stream, I'm like, I had to skip like a huge section, or what's called, like a huge part of the comment section, and I feel bad, but I need to go. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I need to go and make sure that my place is clean and make sure that I can be a great host today. So, yeah, I need to prepare. Like, I already have tea in the fridge, but I have to kind of like imagine my head what to do. Like, okay, there they come, I serve the tea, and blah, blah, blah. Like, I have to think about how to be a great host. So, yeah, gonna go. Ramen capital, yes, yes, yes. It's so good here. You gotta come eat ramen here. Oh, you can't trust America. Yeah. I feel like the world is like it's not only your country though, like wherever you are. I feel like we're, especially after COVID, like I feel like we're, and then COVID and the war in Ukraine, I feel like people in the world, if you have like a high enough social living standard to witness all of this, like we are living in the same space. I feel, because our information database is the same, and how we share that, like even our social platform, I mean, like a social media platforms are the same, unless you're in China. We are mostly the same, living the same. So I feel like we are, even though we come from different countries, from like different parts of the world, we experiencing this together. So I really think that it's important for us to unite and share, our time like this. Like I didn't really talk much about like I I don't even remember what I talked about in this live stream, but I think that even times like this, just you and I just talking, it's really important, and I believe that this contributes to the world peace. So I really appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for coming to this stream. And it's late there. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys for sticking to the end. Yes, he was great. Yes. So this live stream will go on again next weekend. So yes, I gotta go. Oh my gosh, ask that next week, please. Thank you. Sorry to cut you off like this. You could stay. Thank you. Okay. I'm gonna go. So thank you guys again. I'll talk to you next week. If you miss me, talk to me on Twitter, okay? I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Good night.